Useful.
Yeah, you are useful when you put your mind to it.
Say thank you, you're useful.
Thank you, useful when you put your mind to it.
Useful.
Yeah, you are useful when you put your mind to it.
Say thank you, you're useful.
Thank you, useful when you put your mind to it.
And then you go up here again. What do you think you can do? Here's the problem here. When you're doing either what you know or what you think, you're not getting support from anybody around you. You're not. Because they probably don't want you to get it. Oh, they may say they do, but they probably don't, because they're probably competing with you and you're competing with them. You see, that's what people do. They go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and pretty soon they just finish. Now here's the 3-step process for goals. Remember we said over here, you gotta fantasize? Well, fantasy is the first step. Then theory, then fact. If you're going to get what you want, you're gonna have to fantasize. How do you do that? You do that with your imagination.
Visualize.
You do it with your imagination. You build a fantasy. You see yourself with what you want. This studio was a fantasy of mine. This company was a fantasy of mine. It started out as a fantasy, but I understand the process. And you can understand it. Really pay attention here. You go from fantasy to theory. This is where you go from using the imagination. Remember, the imagination is one of the higher faculties. Then you flip over to reason, and you start thinking about it. Now, before you can turn the theory into a goal,
Visualize
you have
enough.
to pass a couple of tests.
And then you reason
You
it.
say, am I able to do this?
Am I able?
Well, the truth is you're able to do anything. You're God's highest form of creation.
Am I able to do the vision?
You're able to do anything. That's the beautiful part about it. Okay?
And the highest form of
Then
creation.
you have to ask, am I willing?
I'm able to do it because I'm the highest form of creation.
Am I willing?
Am I willing to do it?
You know, I talk to Arash a lot. Arash and I become very good friends. Arash is a great salesperson, great part of this company. Talk to Tommy and Mikey,
Thanks.
Sandy, you know, talking to different people in the company. And everything in me has told me to quit this. I don't know how many times over the past 50 years, 60 years. But I absolutely refused to quit. I had this idea in my mind and I had fallen in love with it. If you're going after what you really want, you're not going to quit. It's when you manufacture something because you think you should have a goal and you write it on a card, but it's not the real thing.
What do I really want?
You say, am I able? Of course I'm able.
Am I able to get what I
infinite
want?
Power locked up within me. Am I willing? I am
course I'm
willing
able.
to pay the price.
I'm willing to pay the price.
Whatever the price is at that moment.
Whatever the price is.
Fantasy turned into a goal. And that goal...
That turns my fantasy into a
When
goal.
that happens, it begins to move into physical form.
As soon as it becomes a goal,
You go from fantasy to theory to
it
fact.
starts to become a fact.
That's when you're able to build bigger and better fantasies. That is called a creative process. You're a creative being. You've been created in God's...
So to recap, I visualize at night time having what I want, being what I want, being where I want. And then that's just a fantasy. It's a visualization of fantasy. Then I ask myself this question. Am I able to get it? Am I able to do it? Say, yeah, I'm able to do it. And the highest form of creation. Are you willing to do it, though? I'm willing to do it, whatever the price. Once you make the decision that you're willing to do it, and you're able to do it, then God turns it from a theory into a goal. As soon as it becomes a goal, it starts getting turned into a fact.
knows no limits. Okay? And you put these higher faculties to work, you can build anything you want in your conscious mind. Now just think. What kind of a picture do you want to build?
Picture visualization.
You see, I firmly believe your heart is jabbing you right now. I think your heart is jabbing you in the consciousness right now. There's something you really want. Quit denying it. Now you're thinking, well, I don't know where the money's going to come from. Here, I tell a story in this book. If you don't have it, you can go to our site. Go to Proctor Gallagher Institute. You can download it. We'll give it to you. There's a story in here about a couple. It's on page... Wait a minute. Page 101. It's right on page 101. They wanted to buy a house, and I said, go buy one. They said, we can't buy a house. We haven't got any money. And I said, you don't need any money. They said, what do you mean we don't need any money? I said, you haven't made the decision to buy the house. What do you need the money for? Now, there's another story in here on page 186. A group of people raised $3 million in 3 hours, 3 days after they thought of it. See, all things are possible. All things. It's up here. You've got to decide, what do you want?
What do I want to
Understand,
visualize?
what comes from
Visualize.
the divine side of your personality.
Visualize having it.
It comes from the higher side of who you are.
Lovely.
And this divine side is jabbing you in the consciousness all the time. Want this. That's because Spirit wants you to grow. You say, I don't know if it's God's purpose. It's God's purpose. I'll tell you what God's purpose is. Great good. We're in everything, and we see it everywhere we look. We see greater good, except where we're in charge. Let's see it where we're in charge. I don't care what you've been thinking in the past. I don't care what you've done in the past. Listen, I started out, I had 2 months high school. I had no formal education. Absolutely no business experience. You know, I think it's almost comical at times. Sandy Gallagher, my business partner, she'll be reading books on algebraic equations. So what are you doing? She's solving problems in this book. I have no idea how to do any of that. But I'll tell you what I do know how to do. I know how to build a picture in my mind of what I want. And I know how to hold that picture until that picture turns into a desire right here. Because that's what happens.
Hold the visualization in your mind.
That picture,
Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it.
Becomes a desire.
Hold that image in your mind.
Desire
The visualization.
is the effort
and it will
of
become
the unexpressed possibility
a desire.
within, seeking expression without through your action. It comes from the Latin desire, to give birth to the children. That's the child. You're giving birth to the children, your ideas, your creative being. No one knows what you're capable of doing. There's no one alive that knows what you're capable of doing. You've got to sit down and say, what do I really want? I'm going to tell you something. You stick to what we teach you. You'll get everything you want. I've earned millions of dollars. You're going to hear a couple of ladies early on in the week. Started with nothing. They were nurses. Nurses don't earn a lot of money. They do very important work. They don't earn a lot of money. Both of these ladies have earned millions following what we're teaching. No one knows what you're capable of doing. Here's what you want to do. Look at. This is so important. You're going to get some instructions in a few minutes, and the instructions are going to come to you from the people who really know what the hell they're talking about. I'm going to tell you, anybody in this company, they really know what they're talking about. They practice what we preach, we teach it. You're going to ask yourself, what do you want? There's a power within you. That power is not only within you, it's omnipresent. It is omnipresent. It's a part of everything in the whole universe. That power within you will give you everything you want. It's absolutely magnificent when you think about it. And it'll give to you in physical form. It's such a beautiful concept. Most people don't understand it. They go right through their life and don't understand it. This should be taught in school, but it's not. You see, you could actually teach your kids to take the report card, write the report card before school starts, and then they only think of how they can, and they don't spend any time thinking of why they can't. The same power that flows to and through you is flowing to and through them. We're all playing with exactly the same rules. This is so important. Don't get caught up in A or B. A or B is what you've already learned how to do, what you know you can do because you thought it through. I want you to grab your time. You have no idea how it's going to happen. What do you really want? This is so important. Goals are, without question, one of the most important subjects you'll ever study. Now, I've given it to you very fast here, a number of different ways. I did it like that because I want you to really understand this. You're working with a power that's infinite. You're an expression of that power yourself. There is only one power. Everything's an expression of the same thing. Everything. I took everything in this studio and lit it on fire, it would all be reduced to the same formless substance.
So know exactly what you want to be, do, have. Exactly. Visualize it. Hold the vision. Keep visualizing it. Hold it till it feels real. And then hold the vision at night time when you're slumbering. And say, is this really what I want? You know it is. If you hold the vision long enough, it becomes a desire. And you say, I'm able to have this. These lovely things. Yes, I'm the most able form of creation. And the highest form of creation, of course I'm able. Am I willing to do this? Yes, I'm willing to pay the price. That's it. Period. And it will happen. Because once it's become a goal, I'll look it to me. That's it. Lovely ways. The visualization, write it down, put it on a goal card. Each time you touch the goal card, it reminds you of your visualization. The visualization is exactly what you want. If you're able to have it, you're willing to pay the price, Allah wills it for you. Lovely.